All right, welcome back to My Life Hates the Chargers. Lyric Clark got my boy Jordan Detloff with me. How we doing, J Det?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I mean, you could feel it in the air. Harball's dropping. It's like what are we calling it? Hardball holiday.
Yeah,
The day
that's
he
pretty good.
signed.
What do you think about having all the JHs? We got Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, Joe Hortiz.
I didn't even. I'm so slow. I didn't even notice that with Joe Hortiz. Now I told you the Chargers are planning something. It's a new age coming, man. I can
Yeah.
feel it.
Well, I don't know if we would have anticipated this. A lot's happened. We've turned a new page, it feels like. Do you feel like we're kind of turning a new era in Chargers history here?
I obviously inside of me, I want to say yes for sure. Um, I don't want to like jump on anything too fast. I want to see the wheels get rolling because I
Yeah.
remember said the same thing with Staley. We're like, hey, I feel the energy changing, the culture. It's like a new team,
Hmm.
and I mean, I know hardball is hardball, but I just want to slowly see how this comes together, not get
Right.
myself too excited again. So
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we've kind of been in the same position a couple times. We're like, all right, fresh start, new quarterback, new coach, but we've done this a couple times and we don't want to, count our chickens before they hatch here. But this is kind of different than what we've done in the past with
oh,
hiring, paying top dollar for a coach. What is it, 80 million over 5 years, so 16 million a year. We have not done that before.
I think that's what is one of the most surprising things for me is Spanios, because everybody before, like I was talking to one of my buddies, like telling him that we're gonna get Harbaugh. He was like telling me all the reasons, like it's why it's not happening,
Yeah,
and the number one reason was always the same with people. Your
cheap
owner
owner.
is not gonna be willing to shell something out. He's not gonna give that. He's gonna have to give him full control. And I mean, as we've seen so far, Spanos is like, here's the bag, here's the keys, you know, take the car, it's all yours, drive it wherever, everything is under your control now.
Yeah,
And
just
he's
hand it
brought
over.
yeah, brought in his whole staff. I mean, honestly, I love it. I can definitely feel it inside that something's different, and I feel like it's just gonna be that new age of like I can like before it felt like a thing of like I think our Chargers can win a championship, you know what I mean? But like there's the fire back from when I was little
Yeah.
watching LT, like
Yeah.
2006 when we were watching Phil and the boys take the reins.
Yeah.
Like you had that fire and like it was like we should be champions and it almost feels like that's reigniting again.
Yeah.
And I mean it feels good for me. So I'm excited, but I'm gonna slow it down because I'm.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about this, like this kind of new era, this new chapter, and like just thinking back on the past like 20 years, like what went wrong? Why weren't our teams never able to get over that hump and like, get to the Super Bowl? We had multiple AFC championship games, and I've just been thinking about the reasons why. Like what was it that stopped us? And a lot of it is some injuries, with LT and Phil and Antonio Gates. There's some bad luck, like the Marlon McCree stuff,
Mm.
the missed field goals, the special teams, and then there's some bad coaching in there too. And it's just this weird mix. But I think what it comes down to is just like the fabric of the structure of the organization and the DNA and like just the nitty gritty stuff. And that's where I feel like this is going to be different because we're bringing a lot of Ravens DNA in here, and there's you couldn't have two different like parallels. And Joe Hortiz talked about this in the press conference. We'll get some more of that, but like he just talked about like when teams came into Baltimore, they knew that it was going to be a battle and it wasn't going to feel good. And
Yeah.
the Chargers are not that team. We have not been that team for a long time. So there's a lot of just like basic foundational stuff about like the fabric of your organization that I feel like we have an opportunity to change, and we're bringing in the right crew to do it.
Yo, I agree 100%. And like that's how I always like you always know like whenever you're thinking about it and that was that week we were playing the Ravens, you're like, dude, whether they're good or not, like you just know like even like they could have a couple of guys who are from D3 schools, but they're playing in the Ravens culture.
Yep.
Like they're gonna be a solid defense. It's gonna be a dogfight. And I felt with us, it was like we were never the problem was we never put respect around us and so nothing was taken like serious with us and so it was always like we're literally having a way named after us called
Yeah.
chartering,
Yeah.
like the ability to throw away the game. And I think that just like shows you what kind of culture has been kind of labeled here for the last 20 years. And we said it last time when Staley got hired, is that that culture needs to die. Like it
Yeah.
just needs to be dead. And I want people worried about when they come to LA, the Chargers, not the Rams. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so I think these next few years really should be ours. And we should, if we structure everything right and we start working towards it and we handle things how they're supposed to be handled. I mean, even though I saw Joe Hortiz, I was gonna say JH almost, and then
Ortiz.
Ortiz. I saw him mention he's shooting for multiple championships, and
Yeah. Well, he said he's got four boys and two of them got Super Bowl rings and needs two more for the other ones. And I'm like, all right. Like, I like that we're not just like, let's just get over this hump one time, and we're going to be
yeah,
the team that gets over the hump. But let's like just completely change like who this organization is. And that, requires multiple.
it's an overhaul, and I mean
Yeah.
that's what was required. I mean, since like I don't know, even like I feel like even that year when we went 14-2, like we were a good team, but it was still like that same and like the energy of we can't finish, and
Mm,
like people are almost like, and this is starting to bug me so much is, but like I see people on Twitter starting this narrative that like, oh, here it goes, the Chargers are revolving back into their old self, like Justin Herbert's morphing into Phillip, he can't win, he can't do
mm,
it. And I just think like we need to surround that guy with the talent, the people he needs for his growth, and just put a solid team around him. And like finally Spanos, I think he sees, like I think Justin is literally been like, this is my theory, like the key to everything, to like him just like opening his eyes, like, okay, maybe I should just let the football people do football, give them the money, pay them do that. And so we've just brought everything we need to bring in now. And so it's more of like win now, but not just now, but for the future. Like
yeah.
when the Rams did it, they sold out. They sold all their picks. Like I don't think we're going for that, because
No.
Joe talked about how he wanted to build through compensatory picks. Like he wants to build and be solid. And the Ravens are known for going and getting their guy. I mean, maybe if we would have had him last year, we would have Zay Flowers and Quentin Johnson, right? That's just me.
If they just listened to the fans, we would have had Zay Flowers.
Which is
If the
crazy.
fans got to draft.
I would like, and
I've thought about that. Like, what would an actual NFL team look like if they actually let the fans like vote? If they had like a committee of fans that voted on like who to draft and who to sign, like how much of a disaster would that be? Or would we actually do
it'd be
decent?
I think it'd be a disaster, because you just like you have those one guys who just think they'd absolutely know football and they
Yeah.
just watch ESPN,
Yeah.
like the tickers. So there's gonna be like thousands of those guys like, no, put him in, bro. Or
Yeah.
you're gonna have your trolls who are putting in Tommy DeVito as my starting quarterback.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You have to verify them. Yeah, it is. It's just a fabric thing. It's an organization thing, and it just has to change. And hopefully, this is the right crew to do it. So let's talk about Hortiz's press conference. He has awesome energy. Like you said, he talked a lot about getting those comp picks, the compensatory picks, and basically, you get that from just doing a good job for a long time and having good draft picks that go to other teams, and then you get more picks and you just get more bites at the apple. There's this really cool thing on Pro Football Reference. If you've ever been on that site, I like that's my favorite site for getting.
PFF.
No, not Pro Football Focus. Pro Football
Oh,
Reference. Pro
oh,
Football
really?
Reference is the best to me. It's got a lot of cool stuff on it, and you can look up teams' draft history and just gives you like an index of every player they've drafted, how many All Pro teams they've made, how many Pro Bowl teams they've made. So I like
Oh,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah. I've
You've been
seen
on that
this
one.
site before. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've seen.
It's good for basketball stats too. But here's the Ravens history from the year 2000, their 2000 draft on. Their first round picks in those 23 years, they've had 13 be Pro Bowlers. And late round picks, they've had 18. The Chargers, we've had 12. It's actually pretty good. Our first round picks are pretty spot on. But the gap is our late round picks. We've only had 13
Mhm.
Pro Bowlers and they've had 18. And so that's where the comp picks come in. They come in the later rounds based on like the player's value that they, sign a contract with another team or whatever, and it kind of filters in. But getting those more bites at the apple and trusting their scouting team. And it's not just the scouts, like a lot of this, and I talked to Clint about this last week, but it's like you draft a guy and then you turn him over to this coaching staff to develop him and give him the opportunities and put him in the right spots. And so you can draft an awesome guy, and Quentin Johnston might be an awesome player, and he just hasn't been given the right opportunities or put in the right spots by our coaching staff. So things can turn around. It's draft and develop. It's not just draft or just develop. It's got to be like a
Mhm.
combination. And my favorite thing about the Joe Hortiz thing, and every Charger fan was on this when we saw that we were interviewing like all these Ravens guys, it was like, oh, there's obviously some chemistry there. So, because Jim played on the Ravens when Hortiz was working there 20 years ago or whatever it was. And he's been working with John for 20 years. So, there's a lot of recommendation there, a lot of history, a lot of chemistry. And we always talk about this with teams that have success. The owner, the GM, and the coach and the quarterback all got to be on the same page. If you
Yeah.
got those four people working in lockstep, that's what brings success. And look at the teams that win the Super Bowl every year. I mean, it's always, or at least in the final four in the championship games or make it to the Super Bowl, it's always teams that have a lock between their owner, GM, coach, and quarterback. And that should be what we have moving forward here.
You get me even more excited, man. Every time. Like I still like sometimes like I'm still trying to process
Yeah.
that it actually happened. And so I mean, I agree. I think everything just started getting off kilter with Staley and everything before. So I feel like, like you said, with them having so much history backdated, it's like their chemistry's easy. So now it's just getting it with the QB, and Harbaugh being the fan he is a Herbert is just like I love to hear that because I'm like, bro, we're the same person, bro. I'm the same
Right.
way.
We also love this guy.
This guy's our hero.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? We we view Herbert as a top five quarterback. He really hasn't developed the way that we like anticipated from his rookie year till
Mm,
now. Like just by the raw stats, like he's pretty much the same. Like he hasn't taken like these leaps that we would have anticipated. And even when he came into the NFL, he's already like a top 10, top five quarterback. Basically like what CJ Stroud is. Like he just comes in, he's good and he's ready to roll. But there's like this piece missing of Herbert's development of like taking him to these next levels. And Staley talked a lot about that, and there was a lot about him about Staley being a former quarterback, and like, oh, I can relate to this guy. Like, okay, you were like a D3 quarterback. Jim Jim Harbaugh was an NFL quarterback for like 15 years, so there's a little difference there that I like, but like just bringing Herbert along to reach those new heights, and it's a combination of developing him and then taking the pressure off with the run game, and they won't Hortiz and Harbaugh won't stop talking about the run game and the O line. So like that's obviously going to be a huge thing for them, and because that's what wins playoff football, and that's maybe why those Philip Rivers teams never got over the humps. Like our run game wasn't the best. We always just had to draw back and keep throwing it. But and same thing with Herbert. Like run game just has not been established the way that like these playoff December, January, February teams have it structured.
yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, and I think if you like any casual fan can look at the Chargers from the outside and just be like, there's no run. And like it was I mean, I think last year
Easton, sorry to cut you off. Easton Stick was our best running back by the numbers this last year.
that guy's the best at everything he does. I
his
love Ethan
his
Stick.
last couple games, he just like screw it, I'm running, and he had the best efficiency, best like yards.
Except when he got popped by
Yeah,
in that Chiefs game. I was like, "Oh my god."
yeah.
But
He wasn't good at ball security, but
it's all right.
everything.
He got the runs in.
Yeah,
But I think when I look at Harbaugh in this past year and just see his relationship with JJ McCarthy
yeah,
and like the type of belief that he puts into a quarterback, and I think the development with Herbert is kind of lacked because I mean, don't get me wrong, like Staley had his good moments with Herbert, there were like the good moments and
yeah,
there was love, there was but like I think the kind of love and belief that a Harbaugh, because you look at the highlights from earlier. I don't know if it was earlier this year, last year, but pretty sure it was the Chiefs Ravens game this earlier, not the playoff one. And it was like a 4th and 1, and it was like they can go field goal. or they can ice it with the touchdown. And
And Jim
Harbaugh,
Harbaugh's like, you want to go for it?
comes
That one?
directly.
Yeah.
First, no, he just first thing he did was yell Lamar, Lamar, like
Yeah.
like the like belief in I'm. It's not what the team sees. You're our leader. Like, what
Yeah.
do you want to do? You're the field general here. And I think Herbert in the situations like I think he'll be reasonable. Like certain, we're not going for it on fourth and something on our own 30. Herbert be like, dude, let's put in our defense. And it's like at this moment, like it's not smart.
This is a
But
bad decision.
like I know he's got that dog in him when he sees the game and be like, Coach, I can do this. Like,
Yeah.
and that's gonna get the team going together as one. And
Yeah.
I think last year, I was saying earlier, last year was a huge asterisk because I think the whole belief kind of died out very early. Like Eckler had given up; he didn't want to buy in from the beginning of the season, and then like the Johnson struggles continued on.
Mike
People,
Williams gets hurt.
Mike Williams get
Herbert
hurt.
fingers.
Herbert fingers. You got Lindsley with his heart problems throughout the year, and that's a big thing that a lot of people didn't notice last year. Is I
Yeah.
don't think they understand how important a center is
Especially
because
when you have like an all pro center going to like,
all pro like
yeah.
Lindsey, like the difference between him off the field and on the field was insane because when you're playing center, you're calling out blitzes, you're controlling the whole line, who's blocking who, what's going on where, like you dictate what's happening and you can change a whole game. And
Mm.
so just having like a center that wasn't experienced and wasn't as good as he was, it hurt a lot. So I think like just the whole season was just like, all right, that's why they shut down Herbert so early. That man's a dog. He could have kept playing. He got that in him, but he
And
was like,
Keenan for sure shut it down.
yeah, and it's like at that point, like, why waste? But like, I think it was early on this Harbaugh plan was implemented. I think so. Because I saw something early from when the season ended. Keenan was like, "Nah, I want to be here, whatever it takes." Like he'll like work through his contract, and so they went, saw an idea, and Spanos finally said, "I'll do it, man. Lay it out." So
Yeah. Do you think I've talked about this before too, but like I feel like John Spanos, Dean's son, is kind of trying to right the ship a little bit. Like if it was Dean just making all the decisions, maybe he keeps paying, cheap coordinators to be the head coach. But maybe John Spanos is like, we need a dang Super Bowl in this place. Like this building has not
dude,
had a Super Bowl for like 100 years.
dude, I mean, we've never had a Super Bowl. We're sitting here, and I'm just tired of like being the only loser in the AFC West. Like at
Yep.
this point, like we know how to like win the regular season, but I want to win the whole thing. I've I have a liquor bottle since I've been saving since I've been 21. And I said the day the charge I have it all Chargers designed out and everything. And I said the day the Chargers win, I'm drinking the whole bottle. And everybody always makes fun of me, man. Goes, that sucks. You're never gonna be able
Do
to
you
drink
have
that
it?
bottle.
You
I
want to go
have it
grab?
with
You want to
me,
go grab it?
bro.
While he's doing that, I'll pull. Oh, actually, he's got it. This is fast. He knows exactly where it is.
Got this Chargers bottle,
Oh
got
dang!
the name on it, and it's still
Wait,
sealed.
that has your first name on it in like Chargers print.
Chargers print. I got it for a birthday. It's got Eckler on it, bro. It's got Kenneth Murray is still in 56 on there, man. That's he's still in 56. But yeah, man. So I want to get like you said earlier though. That's one of the key points that you said earlier was not only getting over the hump, but creating something from it.
Yeah,
We should be in it every year, and the consistency that Joe has created is just something I want to like. I want to be for like till I lay in my grave. Hopefully, in the next 40 years, 50 years, I'll be like, dang, dude, we dominated that last half. I want to be like the next era Patriots, you know, and who knows, man? We need to end this whole Mahomes things. I know the
right.
United States wants the same thing, so just put the belief in us. We're gonna get it
Funny.
done.
Yeah. So Harbaugh brings in Jesse Minter to be the defensive coordinator. He's had the number one defense at Michigan. And again, with the Hortiz thing, and we'll get to it with Greg Roman here in a minute, but it's just the chemistry, it's the history. It's like that. You're in lockstep. There's no surprise. You know exactly what you're getting from this guy. And they've won together. They know how to prepare for playoff games. They know how to prepare for championship games. And they know how to go out there and execute with their team to win. So I obviously we all love Jesse Mentor coming in. Greg Roman, there's been some mixed feelings, and frankly, people are worried about it. And he's going to be the fall guy if it doesn't work out like the first half of the season, or the
Hmm.
if the first season doesn't go well. It's just like, oh, we just need a new offensive coordinator. But the same thing applies with Hortiz and with Minter, with Harbaugh. It's this chemistry, it's this history of them working together, um, with him in San Francisco and then with John in Baltimore. It just it's years of relationship and knowledge shared between them. So there's got to be some trust here that Harbaugh. It's kind of weird that Roman was like in the mix of like he's going to be on the staff in some capacity, and they didn't just name him offensive coordinator right away. It's like
Yeah.
were they
Okay.
trying to get somebody else and it didn't work out? That's kind of what I'm feeling.
That's what everybody. I remember seeing a post about that. Someone say that too. Was like that was kind of weird how you guys phrased that. Like, why? What was the hesitancy? Like, are you trying to figure something else out? But I didn't like the direction, but like I said, I believe in the system they're implementing right now. This is the first time I'm gonna say that I'm gonna buy into what like everything is gone from what Spanos is doing right now. Because I think it's going well. I think they're dropping the web well. I mean, I concur with what you're saying. He's definitely gonna be the fall guy if the offense isn't working out, and they're gonna come
He's
straight for his
gone.
head. Because
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, dude, you're messing up Herbert's development. Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? This team can be so great. So, but like, I also don't like what
It a
worries
lot
me.
depends on who's the play caller. Is Greg Roman going to be the play caller?
See, that's the thing is I feel like it's gonna be hardball, but
Maybe he kind of does the style of like more, CEO head coach and not like, completely
mm,
one-sided offense defense. The weird thing is with the offensive staff is we have a pass game coordinator and a run game coordinator. Marcus Brady is the pass game coordinator, came from the Eagles. And then Andy Bischoff is going to be the run game coordinator. He came from the Giants. So there's like people that are running the different aspects of the offense. And maybe Marcus Brady's the play caller. Maybe it's Harbaugh. Maybe it's Greg Roman. I don't know. But we have an offensive coordinator, a pass game coordinator, a run game coordinator, an O line coach. Um, so there's different roles that we haven't really had before. Normally you just have a position group coach, like he's the quarterback coach, he's the running back coach. But like pass game and run game coordinator, that feels different. Maybe that's just to take more stuff off of Greg Roman's plate. I don't know how it's going to work out. We'll see.
I think it's just to like you said, we're looking towards the development of Herbert, but we also see that our run game has been so stagnant since like what LT left in 2009. Like we haven't had a solidified like back. Like Melvin Gordon was decent.
Ryan
Ryan
Matthews for
Matthews.
like half a season.
Yeah, that Ryan Matthews though during that half a season, he was a dog. But so I think it's just like making sure it's like creating a giant machine. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, we're gonna put the best parts in each pieces. And speaking, I heard you say earlier, Bischoff was the running backs, New York Giants. Is that
Yeah, he came
correct?
from the Giants, but he's worked with the Ravens in the past too.
Giants, that's crazy.
That was just his last stop for last year. Before that,
Isn't that
Texans.
where
Before that,
Saquon's from?
that is, yeah. You're right about
Oh.
that. Interesting. Drawing connections here.
A
We're
little, a little, a little. I might be starting a little too early, but hey,
we're
don't
like
blame
the guy with the pin
me.
board with all the strings going over there. He's like, just hear me out.
It makes sense, dude. Connecting a web from Baltimore to New York. But I mean, I also think that this is a team that it's not going to be afraid to make those big name splashes. So if we saw something like Saquon, I'm not saying that's going to happen. That is a far stretch because of the way our
I don't
cap
even know
room.
if I want that to happen.
I I I think I would because I miss having a running back, which like
Who's just sick.
yeah, he was just like I love like that's what made me fall in love with
Yeah.
football. It was
LT.
LT's run
Yeah.
game, Michael Turner. We had Darren Sproles. Like we just had sick running backs,
Yeah.
and so like Eckler gave
Mike
me
Tolbert, shout
two.
out.
What a
Danny Woodhead.
Woodhead was a goat of goat because he actually I want to say Woodhead changed a generation of football. Like
Yeah.
he like created the Swiss Army knife as football because he was the second back at that time, and then he was just so dynamic in catching passes from Phil. He was like carrying people's fantasy teams. I think there's
Yeah.
like 3 straight weeks or something. He got like 30 points. I was like, dude, this. So I think we just need to restore to where we can be dangerous in the run game again,
Yep.
and just off that, just creating fluidity in an offense to where we can run that play action now. Like, and we don't have to be forced to put the ball in Herbert's hands so many times a game that he's getting hit and he's fracturing his rib and he's fracturing his thumb, you know?
Right.
Like, take that pressure off Herbert so that way he can make the simple plays, make like less throws, less tension on his arm, and we can just like the longevity because this is a long season, man. Things grueling,
Yep.
and that guy's taking,
Taking some shots.
yeah,
He's
and
taking
so
some shots and giving some shots. Let's be real.
So we'll never forget that hit in Kansas City. That backer did not get up. Justin Herbert did.
I saw some Chargers page today posted Justin Herbert's Rose Bowl highlights, and he's like running all over the field, just like stiff arming guys into the end zone. Like we have not seen this guy for a few years now of just like I'm just gonna run and truck you and stiff arm you, and like he didn't have very many rushing touchdowns the last couple of years, but like his rookie season he was running it.
Yeah, and that's why I was so funny. I love TikTok because like on TikTok I was on there and someone's like, "Screw it, man, Justin Herbert running highlights," and they just like a whole 3 minute thing, and I was like,
Yeah,
dude, this is actually pretty cool. And like
yeah,
watching his highlights after watching all his running highlights, I've noticed he has made some huge runs, but he always gets stopped right before the end zone.
mm.
Like
Except his first touchdown.
oh, of the
His first
season,
touch,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
his first touchdown ever was him running
But I'm
in.
talking about like these ones are big runs. You remember how Burrow had that first one, unfortunately, against the Chargers his rookie season? He
Yep.
had that like one. Like it's like those distance are longer, and Herbert's like the one against the Steelers. He's breaking it downfield,
Yeah.
and like there's a giant opening, and you tell because like normally you'd be like QB slide, we got enough, like we got a bunch of yards to slide down. He looks up towards the end zone. He's like, I want that. And
Yeah.
like so like he starts making a move and it's just like one last guy that ends up hindering him.
Yep.
Saw a couple more. I was like, dude, I'm with the running Herbert.
Yeah. We need that back. There's other news today that the Chargers are hiring director of player personnel Chad Alexander, who was with the Jets, but he was also with the Ravens for 20 years. So
This is crazy.
Ortiz talked about this too in his press conference. He's like, I got my guys that I wanted to bring in, and they're gonna come just as soon as I can get all this details worked out or whatever. And like,
Hmm.
obviously, this is one of the guys that he was referring to. I mean, the connections are just insane. So
Yeah,
it's
five with
it's
the
gonna look
Jets.
different. I'm curious, like with the Saquon stuff or like Derrick Henry. I'm curious if we go that route or if we try to like actually rebuild this thing like from the ground up, like with a ton of draft picks. Like maybe we trade down from 5 and just try to get like 10 or 11 draft picks this year because we already got 7 or I think we have 8 this year. I think we have 2 seventh round picks. So there's 7 or 8 guys, and if you trade back from 5, you probably get 2 or 3 more. Maybe you trade back again, but there's this way that we can just kind of restructure like from the ground up this team and build it up the right
Hmm.
way. And
Um,
maybe that's a better way to do it than like going spending this free agent money on a running back who's probably on the back half of his prime and has been injured a couple times.
I totally agree though, because what we could do is so for Joe, obviously we have all this. We're building the Baltimore Chargers basically over here, and so Joe can take a couple of those running backs from the Ravens. If he, I mean, they got a whole thing. You can take Gus from there, or I mean Justice. I mean, and we could work with one of those.
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins, trade back, and then build from there. He likes to work with picks, and like you said, he's had history of making great picks in late rounds. And I'm waiting for us also to make that splash because you look at, I mean, you got Isaiah Pacheco and stuff like that who are
Hmm.
not to be, I mean, Brock Purdy obviously, but who are these name people who are like popping up? They're in the Super Bowl. And like you look at certain teams and each of them kind of like make that happen,
Yeah.
and like a lot like the Chargers tend to have injuries. It sucks, but that's like the way our Chargers fandom career has worked. And so a lot of those problems, like you said, is not been good drafting. And so the people behind when they've had a chance haven't really had that time to shine. I mean, besides Eckler of our what 2 year stretch or whatever it was,
Yeah, of our undrafted guys. I'm gonna
Yeah.
read through this. These are the Ravens draft picks that have been like all pro or Pro Bowl guys since the year 2000 when I think Hortiz got to the Ravens in 98, but he was like just making coffee in the morning. So
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say.
he's had a role in like this personnel thing for a long time. And here's just the names, and this will just get us excited because there's so many names on here that are just like, yeah, I love that guy on my team. And they have not had top draft picks. Like they're not picking in the top 5 or 10 hardly ever. And so even the second and third round picks, they're late second, late third, late fourth round picks.
Mhm.
Here we go. Jamal Lewis, stud running back.
Oh,
Todd Heap,
the Heat, bro. He used to have
Ed
hands.
Ed Reed was the 24th pick in the first round.
That's crazy.
Terrell Suggs. We could use a Terrell Suggs.
Oh yeah, I'll take a Terrell Suggs.
Let's keep going here. Who else we got? Haloti Nata, 12th
That
pick.
this list is already insane.
Marshall Yanda, third round pick. LaRon McClain, fourth round pick. Ray Rice, second round pick. Fantasy legend.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
Lots of things to say about Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor was a sixth round pick, made a Pro Bowl. Let's see
That's
who else we
insane.
got here. Kyle Juszczyk, fourth round pick. I already know we're having a fullback on the roster next year. I know this for a fact. A real fullback, not like a tight end fullback hybrid. We're having a real
Jacob Hester.
yeah. CJ Mosley,
Oh,
17th pick in the draft. Darren Waller, they drafted Darren Waller in the sixth round.
wow.
Zadarius Smith, fourth round pick. Matt Judon, fifth round pick. There's some dogs. Marlon Humphrey, 16th
I'm
pick.
I'm just kind of in awe right now.
I mean, Lamar Jackson, 32nd pick in the draft. Justice Hill was a fourth round pick. Patrick Queen was the 20th pick in the draft. Who John Harbaugh specifically mentioned, Joe Hortiz had a huge role in the Patrick Queen. Devin Duvernay, who's good returner, third round pick.
Solid, solid.
And Zay Flowers, who's probably going to be Kyle Hamilton, 14th pick in the draft. And Zay
Zay
Flowers.
Flowers, man. That Zay Flowers just
I
gets me.
mean, that those like Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, LaRon McClain, Patrick Queen, like these picks are just like, buddy, like that's a different
Mhm.
breed of human being than that the Chargers have had. That's like what I think it's coming down to. It's like it's these guys that just have like this toughness, this unrelenting like football guy, and I just don't think that we've tapped into that as well as we could have the last couple decades.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I mean that literally the whole list you just named off was just like jaw-dropping names.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
And
even
Ray Lewis was just a few years before when I started naming guys, but like that's another one of just like culture, like fabric, winner, toughness. It's all those things that like we just need.
but he has like the thing is he has the blueprint.
Yeah.
And so as long as I think everyone follows the blueprint and we have the core like we have everything. It's like just having like everything from IKEA in that set. You know how to build that furniture, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Here's the
We have
instruction manual.
just build it. Just go piece
Yeah.
by piece, start putting it together, and eventually you're gonna see a nice piece of furniture. You're gonna be able to sit down with your wife, your kid, watch that movie, and it's gonna feel good because you put it all together piece by piece and everybody put in the work, did what they had to, and it's just like I want to see it come together so bad.
Yeah. The Greg Roman thing is probably the weirdest part of this.
Hmm.
Greg Roman was with the Ravens from '06 to '07. Then he was Atlantic City High School offensive coordinator in 2008. Crazy jump. And then back to Stanford associate head coach with Jim Harbaugh from 2009, 2010. Then went with him to the 49ers. And that 49ers, he came in with Alex Smith, and then they had the Kaepernick thing. So there was, they had a ton of success. Alex Smith got to a championship game. Kaepernick came close to winning a Super Bowl.
Hmm.
Um, and then Buffalo Bills 15, 16, then the Ravens 17, 18, 19 through 22. So, I mean, the dude's had success, and I think it's worth a shot, especially when we have the other guys that are there to help him out in
Yeah,
Harbaugh. And this whole picture is kind of coming together. So I'm excited for it, man.
that's what I'm saying. Kind of relieves me a little more. Is just like the pieces they put around everywhere else can like
Yeah.
maybe ease it a little bit, and it's just like when you see the stuff like Jim will say about like Justin, like he wants to work so hard so people can realize how hard Justin Herbert works. Like he like I mean not like being overly biased or anything towards Justin, but like I do see like the greatness in the quarterback he is. The throws he makes are insane, and that's why I say this guy's like I understand the wins aren't there, but like if somebody gave you just broken pieces to make that furniture, the furniture's not coming together. You know, give them
Right.
the right pieces, give them the right tools, and things are gonna happen. And just like everyone's believing in each other. I think we have that system now, and
Hmm.
that's why the receivers like Keenan are gonna say. And I think Mike hopefully is gonna take a restructure on his contract.
I don't think he's coming back.
You don't think he's coming back? I think he wants to stay. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is
It
like,
did kind of hurt when did you see the video of him and Keenan at like some party or bowling alley or something the other night? They were like
uh-uh.
dancing together, and I was like, oh, they for sure want to stay together. But anyways, it's been good, man. We got to wrap up. But who do you want the Chargers to draft at 5, or do you want us to trade back?
Um, this one's tough because I know earlier I said I'm a running back guy. Don't go for me saying I'm all over the place. But I also am a tight end guy. I was a tight end. Slow feet that has not changed. But yeah, I mean I would love to see Bowers in a nice tight end, but
Yeah.
if not, trade back doesn't hurt me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I'm open to options.
All right. Appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.
Appreciate you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Okay, later.
Later.